If someone handed you a check for $100,000 today, you'd probably feel a wave of relief, maybe even a sense of being wealthy. It's a life-changing amount of money for most people. It could mean a down payment on a house, wiping out student loans, or finally starting that business you've always dreamed of. It feels like a golden ticket. But here's the uncomfortable truth, the quiet whisper that grows louder the more you look at the numbers. $100,000 today doesn't buy what it did just 20 years ago. Not even close. That feeling of wealth is an illusion, a mirage created by the changing value of money itself. The number on the check is the same, but its power, its real-world purchasing ability, has been dramatically eroded. Think about it. Back in 2006, that $100,000 might have been enough to buy a modest starter home outright in many parts of the country. Today, it might barely cover the down payment and closing costs on that very same house. A full grocery cart that cost you $150 back then could easily ring up at $250 or more today for the exact same items. The cost of a new car, a university degree, even a simple dinner out, they've all marched relentlessly upward. This isn't just a feeling, it's a measurable reality. The financial goalposts haven't just moved, they're in a different stadium altogether. So what is this invisible force that silently steals the value from our savings and paychecks? This is inflation. At its core, inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising, and subsequently, the purchasing power of currency is falling. It's why your dollar today buys you less than it did yesterday. We often hear about the Consumer Price Index, or CPI. This is the government's primary tool for measuring inflation. Imagine a giant shopping basket filled with thousands of items that the average urban consumer buys. Everything from gasoline and groceries to rent and haircuts. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks the total cost of this basket every month. When the total cost goes up, that's inflation. A 3% inflation rate means that, on average, the same basket of goods costs 3% more than it did a year ago. Now, 3% might not sound like much. It's easy to dismiss. But this is where the deceptive power of compounding works against you. Let's say you have $100,000 saved in cash. With 3% annual inflation, in just 1 year, its purchasing power drops to about $97,000. After 10 years, that original $100,000 only buys what $74,000 would have at the start. Fast forward 20 years, and its real value is less than $55,000. You've lost nearly half of your purchasing power without spending a single dime. Your money has been silently leaking value, year after year. This distinction between the face value of your money, the nominal value, and what it can actually buy, the real value, is one of the most critical concepts in personal finance. This leads to the crucial questions we need to answer. Why can't we just compare money across time? What are the deep-seated mechanisms that cause inflation to happen in the first place? Is it simply about printing more money, or are there more complex forces at play, like surges in consumer demand or sudden shocks to the global supply chain? And perhaps most importantly, we have to ask, who actually benefits from this system of rising prices? It might surprise you to learn that inflation isn't a universally bad thing for everyone. For some, like those with large fixed-rate debts, it can be a hidden blessing, allowing them to pay back their loans with cheaper, less valuable dollars. But for every winner, there is a loser. Who gets crushed by it? It's often the most vulnerable, savers who see their nest eggs evaporate, retirees on fixed incomes whose budgets are stretched to the breaking point, and wage earners whose paychecks can't keep pace with the rising cost of living. Understanding inflation isn't just an academic exercise for economists. It is a fundamental survival skill for navigating the modern world. It affects your savings, your investments, your career choices, and your ability to plan for the future. In this video, we're going to demystify this powerful economic force. We'll break down exactly how it works, explore its recent causes, and uncover who wins and who loses. Most importantly, we'll give you a practical playbook to protect your own financial well-being and even thrive in an inflationary world. Let's get started. Money isn't static. Its value changes over time. The numbers stayed the same, but purchasing power collapsed. At its core, inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services rises, and subsequently, the purchasing power of currency falls. Think of it as a slow, silent leak in the value of your money. But how do we actually measure this? Economists track the price of a standardized basket of goods and services that represents what a typical household buys. From gasoline and groceries to haircuts and movie tickets, the most common measure is the Consumer Price Index, or CPI. When you hear that inflation is up 3%, it means that this representative basket of items now costs 3% more than it did a year ago. Analysts also watch core CPI, which excludes volatile food and energy prices to get a clearer view of the underlying trend, and the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, or PCE, which is the Federal Reserve's preferred gauge because it's broader and accounts for changes in consumer behavior. To see the real impact, let's imagine a steady inflation rate of 3% per year. A basket of groceries that costs you $100 today would cost $103 next year. The year after, it's not just another $3. Due to compounding, it would cost $106.09. After 3 years, it's over $109. This might not seem like much year to year, but over time, the effect is dramatic. After a decade, that same $100 basket of goods would cost you about $134. In 20 years, it would be $181. And in 40 years, a staggering $326. Your original $100 bill can now only buy less than a third of what it once could. This brings us to a crucial concept: nominal versus real returns. If your savings account pays you 1% interest, that's your nominal return. But if inflation is running at 3%, your return is actually negative 2%. Your savings are growing, but your purchasing power is shrinking faster. So inflation doesn't mean your money vanishes into thin air. It means each dollar you hold simply buys less than it did before. Understanding this erosion is the first step toward protecting and growing your wealth over the long term. Recent inflation wasn't random, it had clear triggers. When trillions of dollars enter economies while supply shrinks, inflation surges. If you owe money, inflation can quietly help you. Inflation widens the wealth gap, rewarding owners, punishing newcomers.
For trade-offs.
Stopping inflation often means economic pain.
After exploring the chaos of runaway inflation, it's natural to wonder, what does the opposite look like? What happens when inflation successfully managed? The answer isn't just the absence of crisis, it's the presence of something incredibly powerful: predictability. When central banks and governments successfully keep inflation low and stable, typically around a 2% target, they create an environment where individuals, families, and businesses can plan for the future with confidence. This stability is the bedrock of a healthy, functioning economy, and its benefits ripple through every aspect of our financial lives. For individuals and families, the most immediate benefit is the ability to make sound financial decisions. Imagine trying to save for a down payment on a house when you have no idea if your savings will be worth 50% less in just a few years. It feels impossible. But in a low-inflation world, your savings goals are achievable. The money you diligently set aside today retains its purchasing power, making long-term goals like homeownership, education, and retirement feel tangible and within reach. This predictability transforms major life decisions. Lenders become willing to offer long-term, fixed-rate loans, like a 30-year mortgage. They can do this because they have a reasonable expectation of what the money they'll be paid back with is worth. For borrowers, this is a golden ticket. It allows you to lock in a predictable monthly payment for decades, providing a level of housing security that is simply unimaginable in a high-inflation environment. Your budget isn't a moving target, it's a reliable roadmap. This same principle of predictability is a game changer for businesses. A small business owner can set prices for their products or services without needing to frantically adjust them every month. They can sign multi-year leases for their storefronts and enter into long-term contracts with suppliers, knowing their costs won't suddenly spiral out of control. This stability fosters a virtuous cycle of investment and growth. When a business owner can accurately forecast their revenues and expenses, they are far more likely to take calculated risks. They'll invest in new machinery to improve efficiency, expand their operations to a new location, and, most importantly, hire more employees. Stable inflation gives businesses the confidence to build, innovate, and create jobs, which in turn fuels broader economic prosperity. You might ask, why not aim for zero inflation? It's a great question. Most economists believe a small amount of inflation, that 2% target, is healthier than zero. It provides a crucial buffer against deflation, a period of falling prices, which can be even more damaging. Deflation encourages people and businesses to hoard cash and delay purchases, waiting for prices to fall further, which can grind an economy to a halt. A little inflation greases the wheels of the economy, encouraging spending and investment at a sustainable pace. So, when inflation is controlled, it isn't just an abstract economic statistic. It's the quiet foundation that allows us to build secure lives and thriving businesses. It's the difference between a financial world of constant anxiety and one of opportunity and progress. Inflation isn't just economics. It shapes how we live, what we afford, and whether future generations can build wealth. So the next time you hear someone say $100,000 is a lot of money, remember, that depends entirely on when you're talking about, and more importantly, on the stability of the economy in which that money exists.